Hi everyone. Before watching, please subscribe to our channel, give this video a like and leave a comment. This will help promote this video. Thank you and enjoy watching. The wind used to sing in my ears, a sweet melody that accompanied my every climb. I scaled trees like a second skin, their rough bark a familiar handhold. Hills were mere bumps, conquered with laughter and a racing heart. The sky was my playground, a vast canvas painted with the colors of sunrise and sunset. Now, even looking out my tiny apartment window made my palms slick with sweat. The buildings, once giants I dreamed of conquering, were now suffocating steel cages, their windows mocking eyes looking down on me. Here, concrete was the ground, and the only wind I felt was the stale, recycled air pumped through the vents. "You're kidding, right?" Sarah's voice, laced with amusement, cut through the fog of my memories. "You used to drag me up every tree within a 5-mile radius." I forced a smile, the city traffic a constant roar outside. "Yeah, well, things change." "Apparently, not your taste in apartments," Sarah said, eyeing the dusty furniture and the single, withered plant clinging to life on the windowsill. It was a far cry from the sprawling farmhouse I grew up in, surrounded by whispering pines and fields bathed in golden sunlight. 18. That's all it took. 18 years of swapping the whispers of leaves for the honking of horns, and the vastness of the sky for flickering neon signs. My parents, yearning for a better life, had uprooted us from our rural haven and transplanted us into this concrete jungle. They promised opportunities, a brighter future, but all I saw was confinement. "You miss it, don't you?" Sarah's voice, this time softer, cut through the self-pity threatening to engulf me. I nodded, shame burning in my throat. Everything here feels artificial. Back home, you could smell the rain before it even fell. Here, it's like water forgets it has a scent. Sarah sighed, her gaze mirroring my own as she looked out the window. "Maybe we should head to the park today. Get some fresh air, the kind you can actually smell." A flicker of hope sparked within me. The park wasn't much, a tiny oasis amidst the urban sprawl, but it was a connection, however faint, to the world I craved. Maybe, just maybe, it could help me remember how to breathe again. Later, walking through the park, the scent of freshly cut grass a forgotten miracle, I felt a tug on my sleeve. Sarah pointed towards a climbing frame, a miniature jungle gym, a sad imitation of the trees I used to conquer. Panic clawed at my throat. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum solo in the quiet hum of the park. Just looking at the metal structure triggered a wave of dizziness, the ground rushing beneath my feet in a terrifying memory. "Hey, it's okay," Sarah knelt down, concern etched on her face. "We can just head back, if you want." "No, I choked back a sob. Shame washed over me, suffocating. Suddenly, a small boy's laugh shattered the tense silence. He was perched on top of the climbing frame, beaming down at us. That carefree joy, the one I used to possess, was a painful reminder of what I'd lost. "See," Sarah said, pointing to the boy. "He's having so much fun." Maybe. She didn't need to finish. The unspoken question hung heavy in the air. Maybe I could climb again. Maybe I could face this new fear, this prison I'd built around myself. Taking a deep breath, I felt the earth beneath my feet, solid and real. The sky above, though obscured by buildings, was still a vastness, and somewhere deep inside me, the whispers of the wind stirred once again. Sleep that night came in fits and starts, plagued by nightmares of falling, of the city swallowing me whole. The morning light, harsh and unforgiving through the thin curtains, brought a bone-deep weariness. But Sarah's determined face, a mirror of my own resolve, fueled a flicker of determination. "Park again?" she asked, her voice a hopeful melody. I swallowed the lump in my throat, the memory of the climbing frame sending a fresh wave of nausea. Maybe, just for a walk. The park held a different light today. The laughter of children playing echoed through the air, a joyous counterpoint to the city's constant hum. But my gaze kept darting skyward, towards the buildings that seemed to press closer, casting long, ominous shadows. "You know," Sarah said, her voice soft, "you don't have to climb. Maybe just sit under a tree for a while." Her words were a lifeline. We found a weathered oak, its branches a gnarled canopy against the concrete sky. Taking a deep breath, I inhaled the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers, a fragile beauty blooming amidst the urban sprawl. "Remember the time you climbed the old oak back home and got stuck?" Sarah chuckled, her eyes twinkling with mischief. A ghost of a smile touched my lips. "Yeah, Dad had to come rescue me with a ladder." The memory, a bittersweet comfort, transported me back to a world of whispering leaves and endless blue. "Maybe," Sarah continued, her voice thoughtful, "you just need a different kind of climb." She pulled out her phone, her fingers flying across the screen. "There's an indoor rock climbing place downtown. Maybe a controlled environment would be easier." The idea jolted me. Was I ready to face that fear in a confined space? But the image of conquering a manufactured mountain, a small victory in this concrete jungle, sparked a sense of possibility. "Let's do it," I blurted out, surprising myself. The fear still clawed at me, but this time it was laced with a sliver of hope. The drive downtown was a blur of unfamiliar streets and towering buildings. As we walked into the climbing gym, the smell of chalk dust and rubber mingled with the nervous energy of other climbers. The climbing wall, in stark contrast to the park's miniature frame, rose before me, a daunting canvas of textured holds. Sarah, ever the optimist, pointed to a beginner's section, a small path marked by brightly colored handholds. My palms were slick with sweat as I reached for the first hold, its rough texture a grounding force. With each step, a silent battle raged within me. Fear threatened to pull me back, but a newfound determination pushed me forward. Sarah's voice, a constant murmur of encouragement below, fueled my resolve. Each conquered hold was a small victory, a step towards reclaiming myself. Finally, I reached the top, the flimsy platform offering a limited view, yet a significant one. Tears stung my eyes as I looked down at Sarah, her face beaming with pride. The fear hadn't vanished, but for the first time, it didn't consume me. Today I had climbed, and maybe, just maybe, tomorrow I could climb a little higher. The climb that day was more than just a physical feat. It was a crack in the wall I'd built around myself, a glimpse of the world beyond my fear. Sarah, with her unwavering support, became my anchor, the friend who wouldn't let me drown in my own anxiety. Days turned into weeks, each visit to the climbing gym a battle won. I progressed from the beginner's wall, tackling steeper inclines, the textured handholds becoming familiar friends. The fear still shadowed me, a lurking beast, but it no longer controlled me. "You're getting really good at this," Sarah remarked one afternoon, watching me navigate a particularly challenging section. "Thanks," I replied, my voice a little breathless from exertion. "It's still scary, but less consuming every time." "Exactly," Sarah said, a proud smile on her face. "You're facing it, and that's what matters." The sense of achievement was intoxicating. With each conquered route, a new piece of myself chipped its way back from the fear-induced haze. Yet, a part of me still yearned for the open sky, for a climb that wasn't bound by walls and fluorescent lights. Have you thought about going back to the park? Sarah asked one day, her voice tentative. The question hung heavy in the air. The park climbing frame, a stark reminder of my fall, remained a daunting obstacle. But the memory of Sarah's words, "Maybe you just need a different kind of climb," echoed in my mind. Maybe, I admitted, a flicker of hope igniting within me. We returned to the park on a bright Saturday morning. The familiar laughter of children playing resonated differently this time. It wasn't a taunt of my lost freedom, but a reminder of the joy of simply being outside. The climbing frame stood tall, a metallic giant against the blue canvas of the sky. My body tensed, the memory of the fall vivid. But this time, I felt Sarah's hand on my shoulder, a silent reassurance. Taking a deep breath, I focused on the ground, solid and stable beneath my feet. The first step was the hardest, the rungs trembling ever so slightly under my weight. But with each step, the fear loosened its grip. I climbed, each movement deliberate, a conversation with my fear. When I finally reached the top, the platform swaying slightly in the breeze, a wave of relief washed over me. It wasn't the same as climbing a tree, but it was a victory nonetheless. I had faced my fear, not by erasing it, but by acknowledging it and moving forward, despite it. Sarah, beaming on the ground below, gave me a thumbs up, a small gesture, but in that moment, it meant everything. The world stretched out before me, the buildings no longer a cage, but a part of the vast, complex landscape I was learning to navigate. I had climbed again, and this time, it was a climb towards reclaiming my own sky. Conquering the park's climbing frame felt monumental, but venturing beyond the park walls, back into the heart of the city, was a different challenge altogether. The towering buildings, once symbols of confinement, were now a constant reminder of the incident that had triggered my fear. Maybe we could try a different route, Sarah suggested, sensing my apprehension as we walked along a bustling avenue lined with skyscrapers. One with less height involved. I offered a weak smile. Yeah, maybe. The truth was, I craved a new challenge, a way to push myself further. Just avoiding tall buildings felt like a retreat, a step backward. There's an old fire escape I used to climb back home, I confessed, surprising even myself. It wasn't super high, but it offered a great view of the valley. Sarah's eyes widened. Are you sure you're ready for that? Hesitation flickered within me, but the image of the fire escape, bathed in the golden hues of sunset, spurred me on. I think so. It's different, you know, not a building with hundreds of people inside. The fire escape was tucked away on a side street, a relic from a bygone era. Rusted metal groaned under my touch, a stark contrast to the sleek, modern buildings surrounding it. Reaching the first landing, a wave of dizziness washed over me. Looking down, I saw a dizzying drop to the sidewalk below. Panic threatened to rise, but I took a deep breath, focusing on the rough texture of the metal beneath my hand. Just take it slow, Sarah said from below, her voice a lifeline. Remember, you've come this far. One agonizing step at a time, I climbed. The rhythmic clang of my shoes on the metal steps echoed in the quiet alleyway, competing with the distant hum of the city. With each step, the view unfolded before me, a tapestry of rooftops bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. Reaching the top landing, the fear lingered, but it was muted, a background whisper compared to the sense of accomplishment that swelled within me. Spread out before me was a panoramic view of the city, not a suffocating cage, but a vibrant organism pulsing with life. See? Sarah said, a triumphant grin on her face as she joined me on the landing. This city has its own kind of beauty. You just have to know where to look. We stood in comfortable silence, the cityscape awash in the fading light. Today I hadn't just climbed a fire escape, I had climbed another piece of my fear. With each challenge conquered, the sky felt a little closer, my connection to the city a little stronger. And maybe, just maybe, this city could yet become my new playground. The fire escape victory was a turning point. The city, once a concrete maze, started revealing hidden gems, rooftop gardens bursting with life, tucked away parks offering pockets of serenity, and even the occasional, precariously perched fire escape. But the ghost of the incident still lingered, a locked door in the back of my mind. Sometimes, a glimpse of a particularly tall building or the sight of scaffolding scraping the sky would trigger a flashback, the chilling memory of the fall taking my breath away. One evening, we found ourselves at a bustling street fair. Laughter mingled with the scent of sizzling food and vibrant music pulsed through the air. It was a sensory overload, a stark contrast to the quiet solace I usually sought. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked, noticing my growing unease. Feeling a little overwhelmed, I admitted. The towering buildings lining the street seemed to press closer, their windows like watchful eyes. Suddenly, my vision blurred, the sounds of the fair dissolving into a distorted hum. A familiar panic clawed at my throat, pulling me back into the nightmare. "Hey, hey, hey," Sarah's voice, frantic this time, cut through the haze. "Look at me. Take a deep breath." Instinctively, I reached for her hand, its solidity a grounding force. With each slow, focused inhale, the distorted world started to sharpen. The lights, the music, the smells, all returned, overwhelming at first, then slowly settling into a familiar rhythm. "There you go," Sarah said, her voice softer now. "It's okay. You had a flashback, but you came back." Standing there, hand in hand amidst the vibrant chaos, I realized this wasn't a complete victory. The fear would likely stay with me, a silent scar. But I had learned to navigate it, to breathe through it, and to reclaim my space in this bustling city. "Ready to try exploring the Ferris wheel?" Sarah asked, a mischievous glint in her eye. I stared at the towering structure, its spokes reaching impossibly high. My stomach clenched, but this time the fear was different, tinged with a flicker of defiance. "Maybe not the very top," I admitted, a slow smile spreading across my face. "But a few steps up wouldn't hurt." And so we walked toward the Ferris wheel, the giant structure no longer a symbol of my fear, but a potential challenge. The city, once a prison, was slowly transforming into a vast playground, waiting to be explored, one careful step at a time. The sky, though forever partially obscured by buildings, still seemed to stretch endlessly above, beckoning with the promise of new discoveries. Months blurred into a whirlwind of exploration. We scaled abandoned buildings with breathtaking views, navigated precarious rooftop bars, and even snuck into a construction site for a slightly illegal climb on a half-built skyscraper. Each adventure chipped away at the remaining walls of fear. The city, once a menacing labyrinth, started revealing its secrets. Hidden staircases leading to forgotten rooftops, abandoned water towers offering panoramic vistas, and even a network of underground tunnels whispered about in hushed tones. But the incident itself remained a tightly locked door in my mind. Any mention of the specific building, the fall, or the hospital stay sent shivers down my spine. One afternoon, while scouring an online forum dedicated to urban exploration, I stumbled upon a picture. It was an aerial shot of the city, with a red circle drawn around a familiar-looking building, the one where my nightmare began. Panic surged through me, hot and suffocating. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I felt Sarah's gaze on me, her concern etched on her face. "What is it?" she asked, her voice gentle. With trembling hands, I showed her the picture. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the soft hum of the computer. "You okay?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "Going back there? It's impossible." Sarah sat beside me, her hand resting comfortingly on mine. "It's okay," she said. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for." Her words were a balm, with a nagging guilt gnawed at me. Was I truly facing my fear, or was I simply running around it? "Maybe," I said, my voice tight. "Maybe I need to at least try." The following days were a blur of anxiety and determination. We researched the building, finding out it was now under renovation, the scaffolding reaching even higher than it had been on the fateful day. The thought of it sent a fresh wave of panic, but I held on to the image of myself, taking control, reclaiming my space in the city. Finally, the day arrived. We stood across the street, the building looming over us, a concrete giant shrouded in scaffolding. My breath caught in my throat, the fear a tangible presence pressing against me. "We can turn back," Sarah said, her voice laced with concern. I shook my head, a newfound resolve burning in my eyes. "No, this time, I'm not running." Taking a deep breath, I crossed the street, my feet heavy on the pavement. We stopped at a corner, the full view of the building obscured. This was close enough, I thought, a small victory in itself. "Maybe just a glimpse," Sarah suggested, her voice barely a murmur. I took another deep breath, then slowly peeked around the corner. The scaffolding scraped the sky, a metal jungle higher than anything I'd ever climbed. But for the first time, the fear wasn't paralyzing. It was a challenge, a hurdle to be crossed eventually. Turning back to Sarah, I offered a weak smile. "Maybe next time." We walked away, the city noises a comforting hum around us. Maybe I wasn't ready to conquer that specific building yet, but the seed of possibility had been planted. The sky, vast and ever-present, seemed to hold a silent promise. My journey wasn't over, but with each step I took, facing my fear and exploring the city, I was getting closer to reclaiming not just the heights, but myself. Months passed, filled with a newfound rhythm. We explored abandoned warehouses, scaled forgotten bridges, and even found a hidden network of rooftop gardens tucked away amongst the city's steel and glass giants. With each adventure, the city felt less like a concrete jungle and more like a living, breathing entity. Yet the incident rained a persistent shadow, a locked door labeled, "Don't open." Even casual news stories about high falls sent shivers down my spine. The imposing silhouette of the building remained etched in my mind, a constant reminder of the past. One evening, while flipping through a local newspaper, an article caught my eye. It was about a charity event, a fundraiser for a spinal cord injury rehabilitation center. A lump formed in my throat. It was a connection I couldn't ignore. Maybe facing that fear wasn't just about me, but about something bigger. "Hey, Sarah," I called out, the newspaper rustling in my hand. She emerged from the kitchen, a questioning look on her face. "What's up?" I showed her the article, the details blurring as emotions welled up inside me. "There's this event. I think I should go." Sarah scanned the article, a flicker of understanding crossing her eyes. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" "Not really," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "But maybe that's the point. Maybe facing it head-on. Maybe it could help someone." The following Saturday arrived with a mix of anticipation and dread. We arrived at the rehabilitation center, a modern building bustling with activity. The crowd was a mix of patients, their faces etched with determination, and supporters, their eyes filled with compassion. The event was a showcase of resilience. There were stories of people overcoming devastating injuries, tales of strength and perseverance. One speaker, a young woman with a bright smile and a wheelchair, shared her story of falling from a skyscraper. Her words hit me like a physical blow. Here I was, dreading a mere glimpse of the building, while she was rebuilding her life after the actual fall. Shame washed over me, mingled with a newfound sense of purpose. Later, Sarah squeezed my hand in a silent show of support. "Ready?" she whispered. Taking a deep breath, I nodded. We found a table where volunteers were sharing stories of their own personal challenges. Telling my story, the anxiety constricting my throat, was cathartic and terrifying in equal measure. It was the first time I had spoken openly about the incident, the first time I acknowledged my own fear for what it was. As I finished, a hand touched my arm. I looked up to see a woman, her eyes kind and understanding. "Thank you for sharing," she said, her voice soft. "Your story might have just inspired someone today." And in that moment, I understood. Facing my fear wasn't just about conquering a building or reclaiming the sky. It was about acknowledging my vulnerability, finding strength in shared experiences, and maybe, just maybe, inspiring others to do the same. Leaving the rehabilitation center, the city looked different. It wasn't just a landscape of challenges, but a place where people faced their demons every day, a place of resilience and hope. The building, though still visible on the horizon, no longer cast a menacing shadow. Maybe someday I would be ready to climb its scaffolding, but for now, I had faced a different kind of fear, a different kind of height. And in doing so, I had taken a step towards conquering not just the city, but myself. Months turned into a year, a whirlwind of urban exploration and personal growth. The city, once a maze, became a map etched with the memories of our adventures. We conquered rickety water towers, navigated secret tunnels beneath bustling streets, and even found a hidden rooftop cinema that screened classic films under the city's starry canvas. But the building, the one that had triggered the fall and the subsequent fear, remained a looming presence. Not a constant dread, but a quiet acknowledgement of a challenge yet to be conquered. One day, a flyer caught my eye. It advertised a rooftop yoga session atop the very building that had haunted my dreams. My breath hitched in my throat. A yoga session, hundreds of feet in the air, on the very structure that had instilled such fear. "This is insane," I muttered, the flyer trembling in my hand. Sarah, who had been rousing beside me, glanced over. Her eyebrows shot up when she saw the flyer. "Rooftop yoga. Sounds interesting." My voice was barely above a whisper. "It's on top of..." I couldn't finish the sentence. Shame and fear threatened to pull me under. Sarah's gaze softened. "Hey, it's okay if you're not ready," she said, her voice gentle. "Maybe we can find another rooftop yoga session." But a spark flickered within me. Was I content to live with this lingering fear? Or was it time to truly take control, to reclaim not just the city's heights, but my own sense of strength? "No," I said, surprising even myself. "I'm going." The weeks leading up to the event were a roller coaster of emotions. Excitement battled with trepidation, anticipation with fear. Every time I thought about the sky-high yoga session, a knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. The day arrived, a crisp autumn morning with a clear blue sky. Sarah accompanied me to the building, her presence a silent pillar of support. We stood across the street, the building towering over us, the scaffolding reaching even higher than the memory I held. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Maybe this was a bad idea. I choked out. Sarah squeezed my hand. "You've come this far," she said, her voice firm, but filled with empathy. "Just take it one step at a time." Taking a deep breath, I crossed the street, my legs shaky but resolute. We entered the building, a maze of construction dust and half-finished rooms. The elevator ride was an eternity, a metal box climbing towards what felt like the edge of the world. Stepping onto the rooftop, the city sprawled before me in a breathtaking panorama. The scaffolding, once a terrifying monster, now resembled a playground structure, a series of metallic challenges waiting to be conquered. But first, there was yoga. Unfurling my mat at the very edge of the roof, a vertigo-inducing distance from the ground below, was an act of defiance. As the instructor's voice guided us through stretches and poses, focusing on my breath became a meditation, a way to quiet the fear and embrace the moment. It wasn't easy. Every downward-facing dog was a reminder of the abyss below, every standing pose a test of balance and courage. But with each exhalation, the city below became less a source of fear and more a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The final pose, Warrior T, with one leg extended and arms outstretched, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, became a symbol of victory, not just over the height or the fear, but over myself. Standing there, sweat dripping down my face, the city a glittering tapestry beneath me, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. The building that had once imprisoned me with fear now held a different significance. It was a reminder of the journey, of facing my vulnerabilities, and ultimately, of finding my own strength. As we descended in the elevator, a quiet calm replaced the earlier anxiety. Sarah smiled at me, understanding shining in her eyes. "Ready to conquer the scaffolding next?" she asked, a playful glint in her voice. I chuckled. "Maybe not today," I admitted, "but someday." And as we walked away from the building, hand in hand, I knew that someday was closer than ever before. The city, with its towering heights and hidden secrets, remained my playground. But now I owned it, not just in its exploration, but in the way I faced my fears and embraced the unexpected challenges that life, like a sprawling cityscape, threw my way. News travels fast in the urban exploration community. Word got around about my rooftop yoga feat, and soon I found myself facing interview requests from local publications. Sharing my story, once a source of anxiety, became an opportunity to inspire others battling acrophobia. "It's not about conquering the heights," I told a young reporter. "It's about understanding your fear and finding the courage to face it, in whatever way works for you." The response was overwhelming. Emails poured in, stories of people taking tentative steps to face their own fears, of finding solace in shared experiences. It was a powerful reminder that vulnerability wasn't a weakness, but a connection point. One email, however, stood out. It was from a woman named Emily, the same woman who had spoken to me after the charity event. She worked at the rehabilitation center and was organizing a Climb for Courage event, a fundraising initiative where participants would ascend a skyscraper under professional supervision. "We'd love for you to be a part of it," her email concluded. My stomach lurched. Climbing a skyscraper was one thing. Climbing the specific building that triggered my fall, that was a whole other level. "Hey," Sarah said, sensing my apprehension as I stared at the email on my laptop screen. "Everything okay?" I showed her Emily's email, watching her face as she read it. "Wow," she breathed. "That's intense." "Exactly," I muttered, a familiar note of anxiety forming in my chest. Sarah placed a hand on mine. "It's okay if you're not ready for this." I knew she was right. But the thought of turning down this opportunity, of letting fear win again, gnawed at me. Maybe, I started, then took a deep breath. Maybe it's time to truly conquer this demon. The climb for courage was months away, giving me time to train, both physically and mentally. I joined a rock climbing gym, pushing myself further with each climb. But the mental aspect was the true challenge. I started visiting the building regularly, simply standing across the street, then walking closer, visualizing myself conquering the scaffolding, one step at a time. Each visit chipped away at the fear, replacing it with a sense of determination. The day of the climb arrived, crisp and clear. Dozens of participants, all battling different fears, gathered at the base of the building. Emily greeted me with a warm smile. "Ready?" she asked, her eyes filled with anticipation. I looked up at the imposing structure, the scaffolding reaching towards the sky like a metallic ladder. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm, but this time it was laced with excitement. "Yes," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I'm ready." As we donned our harnesses and helmets, Sarah offered a reassuring smile. "You've got this," she said. And then we began to climb. The first few steps were the hardest. My legs felt like lead, each movement a battle against a surging tide of fear. The familiar vertigo threatened to pull me under, the city sprawling below a dizzying tapestry. But I focused on my breath, on the firm grip of the safety line, on the reassuring voice of the instructor guiding us. Sarah, climbing alongside me, offered a silent source of strength, her presence a lifeline amidst the steel jungle. With every meter climbed, the fear loosened its grip. The city transformed from a source of anxiety into a breathtaking panorama. The buildings, once oppressive giants, now resembled a miniature cityscape bathed in the morning sun. The scaffolding itself, once a symbol of terror, became a series of challenges. Narrow beams to traverse, steep inclines to conquer. Each obstacle overcome fueled a sense of accomplishment, a reminder of the journey I'd undertaken. Halfway up the climb, a familiar tightness constricted my chest. We were at the level where I'd fallen, the memory flashing vividly before my eyes. My breath hitched, the fear threatening to consume me. "Hey," Sarah said gently, sensing my struggle. "Look at you. You've come so far." She gestured at the city below, sprawling endlessly towards the horizon. "Focus on that. You're amazing." Her words were a lifeline, pulling me back from the vortex of fear. Taking a deep breath, I focused on the view, on the feeling of the sun warming my face. The memory remained, but its grip had loosened. This wasn't about erasing the past, but about acknowledging it and moving forward. The climb continued, a series of ups and downs. Each challenge conquered a small victory. The wind whipped around us, carrying the sounds of the city, distant sirens, the rumble of traffic, a faint melody from a street performer below. Reaching the final platform, the highest point of the building, a feeling of exhilaration washed over me. The city stretched out before me in a 360-degree panorama, a breathtaking tapestry of concrete, glass, and life. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and pure joy. I had done it. I had climbed not just the building, but the walls of my own fear. Sarah stood beside me, a wide grin on her face. "You did it," she exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. We stood there for what felt like an eternity, basking in the sun, the view, a silent celebration of my journey. In that moment, the city wasn't just a landscape, but a symbol of my own resilience, a testament to the power of facing our fears and embracing the unexpected climbs life throws our way. As we began the descent, the fear was still there, a faint echo in the back of my mind. But it was no longer the dominant voice. No, it was a reminder, a whisper of the battle fought and won. Reaching solid ground, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. But it was also tinged with a sense of accomplishment, a newfound pride in myself. I had faced not just the height, but myself, and in doing so, I had reclaimed a piece of my own sky. Months blurred into a year after the climb for courage, a permanent shift settling within me. The city, once a labyrinth of fear, was now a playground of possibilities. The memory of the fall remained, a scar etched into my past, but its power over me had waned. One crisp autumn evening, Sarah and I found ourselves on a familiar rooftop, the one where I'd first attempted rooftop yoga. The city lights twinkled below, a starry expanse mirroring the one above. "Remember how terrified I was that day?" I asked with a chuckle, gazing at the vast cityscape. Sarah laughed, a warm sound that echoed across the rooftop. "Yeah, you weren't exactly Zen master material. But you helped me get there," I admitted, turning to face her, a wave of gratitude washing over me. "You were my anchor, my voice of reason when fear threatened to drown me." She squeezed my hand. "We did it together," she said, her voice soft. "You faced your fears, and I was just there to catch you if you fell." A comfortable silence settled between us, the city noises a comforting hum in the background. "What's next, urban explorer?" Sarah asked, breaking the quiet, a playful glint in her eyes. I scanned the cityscape, my gaze lingering on a cluster of abandoned buildings on the outskirts. "There's a rumor about an old, abandoned amusement park hidden out there," I said, a spark of excitement igniting within me. "Abandoned amusement park," Sarah echoed, a hint of apprehension in her voice. "Sounds creepy." "Maybe," I conceded, a sore smile spreading across my face. "But wouldn't exploring it be an adventure?" Sarah's smile mirrored mine. "Adventure it is," she said, her voice filled with a shared thrill. "Just promise me you won't climb any rickety roller coasters without me filming it." We stood there for a moment longer, the city lights twinkling below. The world, vast and full of potential, stretched before us. And as I looked towards those abandoned buildings, a sense of anticipation filled me. The sky was still vast, the heights still imposing. But now I had the tools to navigate them, both physical and mental. And with Sarah by my side, every challenge, every climb, every hidden corner of the city became an opportunity to explore, not just the world around me, but also the strength and resilience within. The crisp autumn air whipped through my hair as we navigated the overgrown path, leading towards the abandoned amusement park. Sarah, a backpack slung over her shoulder, followed close behind, her phone poised to capture the adventure. The park loomed before us, a skeletal silhouette against the twilight sky. Rusted metal frames of rides jutted skyward, remnants of past screams and laughter now echoing only in the rustle of leaves. "Wow," Sarah breathed, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Creepy, but definitely cool." I felt a thrill course through me. The unknown, the potential danger, it was all part of the allure. "Ready to explore?" I asked, a mischievous grin playing on my lips. We started with the carousel, its once vibrant horses now faded and chipped, their manes tangled with overgrown vines. A sense of melancholy settled over me, a reminder of the park's forgotten joy. "Imagine the laughter that used to fill this place," Sarah mused, running her hand along the peeling paint of her carousel horse. "Maybe we can add some of our own," I suggested, a playful idea forming in my mind. We climbed onto the nearest horses, Sarah pulling out a portable speaker from her backpack. Soon, the park was filled with the upbeat strains of a classic carousel tune. As the music swirled around us, we pretended to gallop through a fantastical world, momentarily reviving the spirit of the forgotten rides. Laughter echoing through the park felt like a victory cry. We were reclaiming this space, not with fear, but with a sense of light-hearted defiance. Emboldened, we ventured deeper, navigating crumbling pathways and dodging precariously balanced remnants of park attractions. The rickety Ferris wheel stood tall, its rusted spokes scraping the twilight sky. "No way I'm climbing that," Sarah declared, her voice firm. "Me neither," I admitted, a shiver running down my spine. The memory of heights, though subdued, still held a flicker of fear. But as we explored, we stumbled upon a hidden gem, a small, overgrown movie theater tucked away in the back corner. Its faded marquee still advertised a long-gone double feature. Pushing open the creaky doors, we were greeted by a dusty interior. Cobwebs draped the seats, and the screen was a faded canvas. Yet, a sense of forgotten magic lingered in the air. Pulling out a flashlight from my backpack, we explored, discovering faded movie posters clinging to peeling walls. Imagine the stories that had once unfolded on this very screen, I thought, a wave of nostalgia washing over me. We spent the next hour lost in the past, piecing together fragments of stories from the remaining posters and faded advertisements. As dusk deepened, casting long shadows across the dusty floor, a sense of peace settled over us. Leaving the park felt like stepping out of a time capsule. The city lights twinkled in the distance, a beacon of life amidst the forgotten dreams of the amusement park. Walking hand in hand, a comfortable silence settled between us. We hadn't conquered any towering heights, but we had explored a different kind of landscape, a landscape of memory, of forgotten dreams, and a shared sense of adventure. That was, Sarah started, searching for the right words. Unexpected, but amazing. I smiled. Exactly, I said, the feeling of the cool autumn air on my face, the city lights a promise on the horizon. The world with all its hidden corners, its forgotten stories, and its unexpected adventures was waiting to be explored. And with Sarah by my side, I was ready to face it, one step, one climb, one forgotten amusement park at a time.